So welcome back, everybody. Today is the 31st of January, 2023. As you can see, our good friend Marc Gray is back. And in the first hour, we are going to talk about the current events that are going on here. And in the second hour, we will talk about, the alien presence and non-human interference here on Earth. So, Marc, welcome back.
Well, I'm glad to be back, and thank you for having me back here. I hope the previous interviews worked all right. I didn't check if well, there was a few comments on your channel, I think. Today, actually, what's going on in Davos in 2023 is totally connected with the second hour topics, with the puppet masters behind the WEF, behind the WHO, WHO, behind the CDC, behind every government on Earth. So, well, different puppets and the same masters are behind all of them, pulling the strings. So we can talk about what transpired from Davos. You saw those street reporters trying to catch up to Greta Thunberg, Burla, Klaus Barbie Schwab, Tony Blair, and Tony Blair not on the street, but there was a couple of other ones. I forgot their names, but they were trying to get him to talk, and actually Greta was doing nothing but laughing it off all the time. Burla didn't answer anything, and Klaus was in a hurry, so hopped into a car on his way out of the hotel or the meeting. I don't know, but they didn't say much. Except that we know for sure that Greta is totally MK Ultra'd. She's a total puppet, and actually, I don't know if you noticed, but she is 20 years old, and she still looks like a teenager. She's this short, and she acts like a teenager. There's something wrong with this image of her, like she's not growing up.
Yeah. Did you see the staged arrest here in Germany?
No.
Yeah, there was a protest in Lützerath, and the Holy Greta herself came and paid a visit to the climate protesters.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The rest, yeah.
Yeah, and then she was carried away by the police, but we also have video footage where she was standing around with a group of policemen and joking and laughing. So, yeah,
Little psyop.
Yeah, of course. But Twitter went crazy. The Holy Greta has been arrested, and it was all a stunt,
Yeah, it's everywhere we look, it's a stunt. That's that's why, and people don't understand the role of controlled opposition. Even in France, we have many so-called leaders for the opposite voice to counter the government's and Pfizer's policies and so forth. But they're all pro-vaccine doctors. There's not one. There's a few of them, but most of them are like pro-vaccines, but not pro COVID vaccine. So it's all a scam, because they're all paid off by the big pharmacia and the government and Pfizer's, the labs and so forth. So it's so obvious, but people don't see through it. They say, oh yeah, vaccines are good. All the vaccines we've had with all the shots are good, and you go back as long as you want, and there's been in history, as far as the late 1800s, major opposition to the vaccine and to the devastating effects and toxicity and inefficiency of the vaccine. It's always been toxic since the beginning, since the 1700s. So people don't understand that control opposition. It still doesn't make sense in their head. It's like, oh well, we see him a lot, so he must be on our side.
Yeah. So, by the way, I love the Titanic that's almost hitting the.
We're almost getting there.
Oh yeah! Oh boy! So I just mentioned it before we started recording. Now Switzerland is considering to ditch its neutrality. I mean, in terms of the Ukraine, Switzerland hasn't been really that neutral, especially not with the rhetoric. But you know, now obviously they are considering to be done with it because somehow it's an obstacle to them, and it's yeah, like a chain on the foot. And yeah, that's not good. That's really why do you think it is that everybody is so bloodthirsty?
Bloodthirsty. Well, they're you mean our the governments, the
Mm-hmm.
governments and the leaders of, well, they all a sub-race. They're not totally human for once, and I'll show you in a second hour a few videos of them not looking human at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll allow me to share
Yeah,
screen
sure,
with you
sure.
later on. But yeah, they have nothing. They have no humanity in them. You know, our main purpose should be to remain human and not to survive at any cost. To me, that's the that's the rule that we should follow, because they want to force us into hybridization and mutation of the species. Well, extension on one hand, and mutating the species on the other hand. Actually, there's many things that are going on with the Davos decisions. You know, they talked about the digital currency. They want to speed up the process with that. They want to make us eat bugs more than ever. Now it's official. It's official. So about the bugs, the kitten, I don't know how you pronounce it, found in the bugs, solely toxic and can cause cancer. You know, like dried crickets or almost pure chitin. And it's basically the hard bits of the exoskeleton. It's toxic to the human body, and it's been known to cause lung problem called the crab asthma, and that you don't recover from, and it reduces the macrophage and leaves you wide open to infection in a population with an already compromised respiratory system thanks to the jab. This is totally criminal. You know, it's an industrialized genocide. So they do it on purpose. They showing us, you know, blatantly what their intention is, and nobody is reacting because they're totally subdued to the jab's black magic and to the jab's nanotechnologies, the graphene and the 5G nervous system, total control over the nervous system. So, and the propaganda, the media, the screens, I mean, the, you know, PC screens, TV screens, all the screens are totally hacked with technology for hypnosis, you know, mass hypnosis. So I think that's one reason. And the other reason is that we're totally surrounded with NPCs, non-player characters, and they're the vast majority of people. After 3 years of totally incoherent, an incoherent agenda and totally nefarious in its intention, how can you not see that you're getting poisoned, that people are living in total tyranny, and that Nazism has never been as blatant in the open as today since World War II. So I mean, Schwab is a Nazi. Ursula von der Leyen is a Nazi. They're all Nazis, and Macron is one of them too. So and it's the international Nazi society that I did a show in French on Paul Ponceau's channel a few weeks ago. Well, it came out a few days ago, and we went back as far back as the Giants and Hyperborea and all the origins of the Nazi order. But it's just one order after another. It's all predatory program and agenda. So it's not a big change, but it's linked somehow to the what you call the Nordics agenda on the ET and interdimensional beings side of it, which I can touch on in the second hour later on.
Yeah. So You know what is always puzzling me? I mean, obviously, the two of us and people like us, we use screens as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
We try to do our research, we do this and that, and now we are using the screen as well. So I always wondered, what exactly is it that makes some people more susceptible to that hypnosis and others not? Do you have any idea?
It's a case per case basis. Basically, each individual belongs to its own perspective and the species. I think there are several human species on Earth. We are surrounded by a human simulacra that is nothing but humans. I mean, what is a true, real, spirited, highly spirited human? He thinks by himself. He doesn't need the propaganda to tell him what to do. He doesn't need to take orders from a bunch of psychopaths, and he sees through things. He has logic, and most of them don't have any logic. If you use a minimum of logic, well, there's an article that just came out recently to shoot us off, us, the conspiracy nuts, and saying that we are conspiracy theorists because we had a bad youth. We experienced a really tough and hard youth, and that's because of that we don't obey orders and the agenda, the narrative. I mean, the official narrative. So it is so stupid. It's just as stupid as the excuses and pretexts that they found that can cause heart attacks. Like the eating eggs can cause a heart attack.
Yeah, I know. A good one.
And many other things.
Yeah, the heat and shoveling snow.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That also can cause heart attacks.
Yeah.
So,
I have a picture I can share with you on that. Let's see. Okay. All right. Here you go.
If I had an omelette. Yeah. Yeah, I love those memes. Some of them are really clever, and once in a while you need to have a good laugh, especially these days. Yeah, speaking of Macron, we recently heard reports that there was a huge strike in France, and he wanted to install the mother of all reforms. It has to do with retirement payments and so on and so forth. So where are we with that agenda? And well, what was really going on there?
Well, he wanted to push the age of retirement later on, like 64, and it's supposed to be, I think, 63 or 62 now or something. I don't care personally because I won't have any retirement. I lived in the States, so I paid taxes over there, and it's not you cannot transfer it over here. So I'm not really concerned with it, but I see a lot of people that saved and paid taxes their whole life, and that won't be able to access a decent retirement wage. And first of all, and second of all is there's like 130 billion euros available in the budget, in the retirement budget, and some economists say that out loud on TV, and of course they were called like conspiracy theorists, but that's the fact. They have enough money for the retirement. It's just to put the pressure on people, so they are so stressed out. They'll do their next jab in order to conform with the line up with their next social credit system, which is what is awaiting us around the corner. I'm telling you, it's like for example, digital currency. Here's what digital currency, the system, will lead to social credit score system. In China, they already have the limited date, limited what do you call it? you know, the money, the digital money currency is only available so many weeks or months to each person, which means they have to spend it before it's outdated, you know. So this would lead to the social credit system. Let me show you a video regarding this. I can share it here.
Yeah, while you are searching for that, I don't really understand what is your problem, you French guys. Here in Germany, they are talking about retirement age, rising it to 70.
Yeah, they want to do that. They want to apply that to all of Europe, the EU.
Yeah. Best you die at your workplace. Yeah.
Yeah, eating bugs or after your 10th shot or something, you know. It's crazy. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Digital. Okay, I've got it. Let's see. It's a surveillance tool, basically, you know. Let's see. All right, share it with you. I hope the sound is okay. All right. I don't know if you have sound. Can you hear something?
No.
Oh, okay. So I must have done something that didn't work. Let's see. All right. Okay. Share the audio. All right. Here we go.
Ultimate surveillance tool, isn't it?
Absolutely, and anonymity isn't even the worst of our problems. The worst of our problems is the fact that it's going to be programmable. Because it is digital, it means the money can be programmed to be spent in any way in which the central bank or the government decides. So one of my particular concerns is the World Economic Forum, because they're talking about implementing a carbon allowance. Now, this means each individual will be given a certain amount of, whether it's credit or whatever it is, carbon that they are allowed to emit. And how do they implement that? Through a central bank digital currency. So if I buy too many plane tickets, or if I buy too much meat, because those things are all supposedly very bad for the environment, my money when I go to fill up my car could then be declined. So now they're literally controlling what we can and can't do with our money. It's also important to realize that the money can expire. So during times of economic uncertainty, central banks love to print lots and lots of money, which causes inflation. But we could get to a point where they say, you know, instead of printing money, guys, you have to spend at least 10% of your savings in the next 3 months. If you don't spend that money in the next 3 months, then that money is going to expire. And if you can't save money, well, then you can't build long-lasting generational wealth. You're always going to be a slave to the system. And, you know, I don't think people really understand the severity of this. Money is literally the energy which fuels your life. If you don't have freedom of money, you don't have freedom of anything. You know, Dan, I know you talk about the Second Amendment. You know, if they don't need to necessarily get rid of the Second Amendment, but they can just say they can program your money so that you can't actually go and buy a gun. So again, it really is the most tyrannical form of surveillance we will ever see. When they control the money, they control the world.
This is why I love your podcast. I honestly think you're one of the few people that gets the threat from these digital currencies. I only got about 30 seconds left, but just quickly, the Bank of England, despite being in a massive inflationary global crisis, has decided they're going to start printing more money through a quantitative easing program. This isn't going to stop this inflation crisis. The minute the politics heat up, they just start printing again.
Absolutely. The more debt that we get into, the only way to get out of it is to continue printing money. They announced tax cuts. They announced that they're going to be deregulating the market, which caused the crash.
This is the ultimate.
Yeah, so my question now is, of course, it's absolutely correct what she said. I talked about that, I don't know, like almost 2 years ago, that it will be programmable and so on and so forth. So with what type of power are they going to do all of this? Because here in Germany, we had a huge brownout. 100,000 people were without power. The reason was that the power lines were frozen. And yeah, so they just flipped over. And yeah, and then after a couple of hours, they had power again. Then came the second brownout, same area. And now the provider is saying we cannot rule out that in this particular area there will be more brownouts. So, and you know, when you look at that, yeah, the energy crunch. I mean, so far we have avoided a total blackout, and I'm really, really happy that we did. Yes, I am prepared for that, but it is not that I wish for it to happen. Yeah, because I know what suffering goes along with that. Yeah, and I think anybody who is wishing for that is a little bit of a moron, but yeah, nevertheless. So electric cars that are constantly on fire. Yeah, just the other day here, another Tesla car, a public bus, an electric one went up in flames here in Germany. We have hardly any wind recently, no sunlight. So how are they going to power all this? I mean, these two things do not go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they're using every tool that they can get in order to put the pressure on the masses who are actually in the vast majority following the rules and following the narrative. So it's easy for them because you know, they don't always have to apply it to people like us. They apply it to people who obey anything without questioning. And the more jabbed they are, and the more poisoned they are, and in bad shape, in bad health, and the more under mind control they will be, and obey.
Yeah, I get that, but still, where is supposedly this power coming from? They want to digitize literally everything, yeah. In the long run, the plans here in Germany is to heat the houses with electricity and so on. But at the same time, you know, there's not enough power to go around. And once Germany is switching off the last three nuclear power plants in April, yeah, it will be very interesting what happens next. Yeah. So and then they want to ditch the coal plants even before 2030. So this is an honest question. Where do they think that power will come from?
Maybe they will be using the power sources that they've been hiding from the public eye for so long. You know, those energies, those free energies that they are you know, obviously aware of, because they, you know, they don't run out of power. None of those guys, you know, the private jets with unvaccinated pilots or requested. You know, they don't run out of power. So where do they find the power? That's a good question. Maybe it's all back engineering and a trade-off with some non-human species who are the puppet masters, which we will talk about later on. But that certainly is not an issue to them. Whether, you know, they don't worry about where they find the power. They use the power in order to blackmail the masses. That's it, and blackmail the companies and you know, all of the enterprise and the people working and living who need power and to go off their business. So they don't. I don't think they worry about where they'll get the power from. We may not know ourselves personally where they get the power from, but maybe someday it will be revealed. If it can put the pressure on us that we know we deserve. I mean, we'll have to deserve to access that power, for example, you know, with the social credit system. So it's all about blackmailing and racketing the masses. So I don't think they're worried at all where they'll find the power to power the big computer data and quantum computer systems and so forth. I don't think they were about it.
So are you thinking along the lines of, let's say, squeezing the power really bad and have load shedding, which is nothing else but switching off the electricity in particular areas. And once people have gone through that multiple times, of course, they will be sick and tired of it. And then they come around the corner saying, well, here we have some brand new technology and we will install it and it will be just wonderful for you, but you have to follow these particular rules. Could you imagine such a scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to show you Tony Blair at the Davos. It's only a few seconds, and check out what he says. So he doesn't worry about the power on his end.
Tony.
Okay, hold on. It's only a few seconds. All right. All right. Tony Blair at Davos.
I think there's a huge impetus now for a national digital infrastructure. Digitization in healthcare is, I think, one of the great game changers. We should be helping countries to develop a national digital infrastructure, which they will need with these new vaccines. And then, finally, it's also about showing people and showing the political leadership that you can make a positive difference to your healthcare system by adopting these measures, because they've got an impact beyond any particular disease or pandemic. And I also think this issue to do with the technology and the digital infrastructure, I just want to emphasize how important I think that is, because in the end, you need the data. You need to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been. Some of the vaccines that will come on down the line will be multiple. There'll be multiple shots. So you've got to have, for reasons to do with the healthcare more generally, but certainly for a pandemic or for vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure. And many countries don't have that. In fact, most countries don't have that.
Yeah.
I think there's a...
Yeah. So you
saw, okay, but he actually didn't say anything about power. He just, yeah, we will see how they do that. So another thing that doesn't make sense to me, a couple of months ago, we had already had reports. Germany was saying that in case of war, Germany has ammunition for 2 days. So, and just recently, France came around the corner and said, yeah, well, we have ammunition for 4 days. Okay, fine. Why anyone would telegraph that to the world, that is something that is really puzzling to me. But now we had from the Netherlands, Admiral Rob Bauer. He gave an interview to a TV station in Portugal, and he said, NATO is now ready for a full confrontation with Russia. So wait a minute here. Yeah, so either you have ammunition or not. If you do not have ammunition, where's the readiness? So what is going on here? Are we just being played and fooled, or
Totally. Yeah, totally. I saw a debate on I couldn't stand more than 10 minutes, but on BFM TV, which is the worst. We call it BF Merde, BF Scheisse. It's the worst propaganda based TV. TV channel on, and there was a debate between a panel of pro EU, pro NATO, with a former KGB Russian guy who switched to this side with Macron, pro Macron, and so forth, and the vice president of the Duma in Russia, pro Putin, and so forth. So they were trading back and forth. Oh no, it's your fault. No, you did. You killed the most. No, it's your fault. Well, it looked like such a circus. I mean, honestly, and they're all part of the same. It looked like they were all part of the same team. The Actor Studio, by NATO, and the New World Order, because they're trying to sell us a newer version of their world order, but it's the same actors with maybe a few new faces, but it's the same actors as before. All those guys are former KGB, they're former Secret Service bound. I mean, they're all predators, and they're all psychopaths. They all think of killing, and they argue about who killed whom and who was there first, and it's the same crap. It's a big circus to me. They all obeying the same. They take orders from the same puppet masters who are pulling the strings.
Absolutely. And I find it really disappointing that many people still think that Putin is going to liberate them from the crooked financial system and so on and so forth. But the Off Guardian recently had a very good article that was titled The Biometric Nightmare of Russia, and also the digital currency, the digital ruble that is in full swing, and even the mantra, the multipolar world. Yeah, just type it in, WEF and multipolar world. They, at the very least, they started talking about it in 2015. Yeah. So where's the renegade here with Putin? Not to be seen.
No, he's a former British agent, just like Klaus Schwab was, such as was Adolf Hitler. So for sure, no, they really have the documents. It's a book that was written about it. They all were trained in London. So it's all the city and the Rothschilds behind it that they are controlling everything, even the U.S. The U.S. is going to become a third world country if they keep going that route, because what they want to do is dismantle all of the U.S. economy and revamp it and offer something else, which will be led by Russia, China, possibly Turkey and so forth, and of course Israel. But and the EU is going to be dismantled completely. That's their policy. That's what they want to do. That's why I sent you an article yesterday by this Dutch guy, Martin Vrijland. Well, actually, before we talk about that, let's talk about this top. What was that site again? Stop the World Control or something like that. It's a big
Stop World Control. Yeah.
Right.
Stopworldcontrol.com. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to change my background for that because because it's interesting.
Mark is going wild with the backgrounds today.
Exactly. I'm traveling all around throughout dimensions, if I can find it, because it's right. Let's see. It's just the website. No, that's not it. That's not it. All right.
Is that from the Truman Show?
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. But that's not the one that I want to show you. When you see who is behind this initiative, okay, here it is. Yeah, Rainer Fulmisch and a few renowned doctors, and I didn't watch the whole video. It started in Italian and it mostly in English. Most of the video was in English, but they're giving us false hopes that they'll be able to bring down the system.
Yeah.
The pyramid.
I'm so done with Fulmisch and have been for a long time now, because especially, I don't know if you have followed that. but there were irregularities with the donations and so on and so forth. And one fine day, he was no longer on the Corona committee. And, and then the dirty laundry took place publicly. He is accusing that Viviane Fischer, that woman, he is accusing her that she took 30,000 euros out of that donation basket, and she needed it for personal purposes because her account has been seized. She forgot to pay bills. How that can happen is really beyond me, because lawyers here in Germany usually have a good income. Mm-hmm. And then she came out and said he took out 70,000 euros out of that donation basket, and he paid mortgages from his house or refinanced the entire thing. So, and he's always talking about, there will be a lawsuit. Then he will never do a lawsuit. And while he is talking, there are actually real lawsuits going on in Switzerland, here in Germany. And people have already done that. And I don't know why people are still following these morons.
Because they need hope. They need an external savior. It's the image they have, inside their head since their beginning. It's the paternal, the father figure, which they gave up to this day to their government, that has been poisoning him and bombing him for centuries. There's a comment under that video, the worldwide unmasking of the United Nations, that is very interesting. I'm going to read it for your listeners. It's a viewer's comment. The United Nations is just one, because what they're trying to do in this initiative is trying to make us believe that they will take down the WEF, the United Nations, and so forth. United Nations is just one of the latest tools used by the globalists in their centuries-old project of world conquest. Mr. Georgescu is the Eastern European guy who's in the video, lends noble initial intentions to this organization when it was created in 1945. Why does he avoid saying who created the organization? The League of Nations, which was its precursor, was conceived by the Grand Lodge of France in 1917. Why keep the secrets of the United Nations secret when everyone today should know? He also lends noble intentions to the Club of Rome. But if we go back to his origins, we also find the hallmark of the philosophical society itself. A coincidence, no doubt. So the Club of Rome is the worst reference to give to people to make them believe that we're going to be saved by these guys. I mean, the Club of Rome with Maurice Strong, and Maurice Strong was Klaus Schwab's mentor. Remember? So, and the Club of Rome hates humanity. It said it mentioned, it created the global warming scam, and saying that the problem on Earth, in order to save the Earth, we should rid the Earth of humanity, of mankind. So they're totally anti-human, and you want those people to save us and take down the United Nations? I mean, it doesn't make sense. So,
yeah, but I thought to myself, so let's say both is true, so they took out from the donations 100,000 euros for themselves. Can you imagine how much they must have collected? And it is really, it's so frustrating to me that people are willing to donate for all the bullshit, and as long as you are selling a savior program. And my goodness, that's because I have been talking about that from the get-go of my channel. The savior program is a trap. The savior program is the signal that something is wrong with the entire narrative. But no, 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 no. Yeah. We will
Yeah.
throw all our support and all our money at those people who give us a savior.
Yeah, exactly. So Martin Friesland, the Dutch guy, mentioned something about the Turkish president Erdogan, who will expose the global pedophile network and the British royals to take him down. I find it difficult to do because Charles is Klaus's best friend,
Yeah.
and he's he's the the old lizard's son, and he's a direct family descent of what's his name, Vlad Tepes, Dracula in Transylvania, which is just a bloodthirsty note on the side, but it's important to notice because he's confessing that he's a bloodthirsty bastard. So just like all those guys, they're vampires, they're mutants, they're hybrids, and they're most of them they're lizards, but they belong to other races as well. NATO, Friesland also mentioned that NATO is about to fall and resurrect Trump in the next election, in the U.S., which is possible because we start seeing him come back, and after his golf sessions, he's come back to give all the naive people hope again. It's not the first time; it won't be the last time. Also, the famous Project Veritas, with James O'Keefe, with the former Pfizer employee. So that looked like such a psyop. I'm serious. I don't know if you watched it, but it looked like a total psyop. And Tucker Carlson, who graduated from Harvard and Yale, major U.S. U.S. anchorman and frequent visitor at the Aspen Institute, which is one of the worst in social engineering. Would you have any reason to trust that guy? I mean, Tucker Carlson. I mean, it's just crazy.
He once in a while he gets a few things correct, and not everything that he is saying is total nonsense, and that's always, a little bit, because he gets those things correct. People have a tendency, as with Putin, that they think he miraculously is on their side. But I'm not saying here don't listen to Tucker Carlson. No. What I'm saying is use your discernment and keep that in the background of your mind, where they have been educated and what are they doing, and so on and so forth. Oh, here comes the Templar cross.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. That's nuts. It's just to mention something about Djokovic,
Yeah.
Now he's the new hero because he won the Australian Open in tennis, and last year he was arrested because he was unvaccinated and so forth. People see him as a total savior on their side. Let me just share a picture, and also Albert Pike, one of his quotes with it, so that to make things pretty clear. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. Albert Pike, 33rd degree Freemason. We know who Albert Pike was. And also, let me mention to you that he's totally very weird. His wife is good friends, best friends, I'd say, with Marina Abramovich. We know who she is, the spirit cooking Satanist crazy that sets up evening parties and dinner parties with cadavers and human bodies and that you eat off, and they're supposed to be fake, but in the background
Who knows?
they have the real ones. And what I want to say about let me find this information about Novak. Yeah, the most recent Djokovic and biotech headline is a true mystery, because it's already it's also a real slap in the face of his natural immunity, a fine fan base and journal Novak enthusiasts. He's taking part in the funding of universal vaccine investment. So in Quant Biores, the biotech company, Djokovic and his wife are 80% invested, describes an experimental process as universal coronavirus, HIV, and cancer vaccine that turns out to be a dangerous, short-sighted in silico model at epigenomics level, or in other words, esoteric science at best, if put in context with the current COVID era status quo. So, see, it's all crazy. On one hand, he's like, I'm unvaccinated, and on the other hand, he invests in a biotech company to produce a universal vaccine. So that's totally crazy. And people don't see that there's a problem with that.
Yeah, exactly. And there are so many cases like that. The manosphere had their heyday with Andrew Tate, who was now in prison and it's really so easy. All he does is selling people more division. Now, surprise, surprise, the scapegoat are all the women. It's all their fault. And that is exactly what the controllers do. They thrive on divide and conquer. And it is beyond me why people cannot see that they are even divided further, because at the core of all those divisions, skin color, religion, gender, nationality, ethnicity, what have you, at the core of that is the artificially induced hatred between men and women. If you peel it down. So, and why people cannot rally behind people that are promoting unity and saying, you know what, guys, can we get over this? And then not play into the hands of divide and conquer. It somehow never works. They always have to follow somebody that is but it's so easy. Okay, fine. Now you have your scapegoat. Now what? Now what?
Exactly. They still don't get the big picture. The only picture they get when they come into a state of semi-consciousness, I would say. They say it's about the money. It's only about the money. It's about the power and the money, and Big Pharma is just out there to make money. And they don't see the esoteric and the spiritual war that is going on with, against humanity, against our essence, or divine essence. They don't see any of that. It's all about the money, like the background behind me. It's the picture. It's the COVID vaccine. They don't see the poisoning behind it. They don't see the potential hybridization of humanity behind it. They don't see the social credit system, which is, it's coming closer than ever to this, and it's already functioning in China. So why wouldn't it function in Europe and in the Western civilization? I mean, I didn't think at the beginning that the French and the Europeans would be as obedient as the Chinese. And I was the first one, mostly surprised when I left the house and saw those masked people, with muzzles on the face. So it's just, that they're ready for anything to follow any order. And it's part of the hypnosis, but it's part of their inner species intentions, because they've been groomed to be slaves, and to behave like slaves. And so they do behave like slaves, and they look at us like if we were the crazy, the crazy ones. They would love to be able to, take us to an asylum, lock us down there, lock us up, which is what's going to be showing on the new numeric IDs. If you're, we're going to have an ID. It started in the US already, and your health record is going to show if you're unvaccinated, and you're going to have a number. And one of the formulas is means that you're unstable mentally. So you don't follow the narrative, and that's what they want to do, and that's what this video I want to show. It's only a few seconds as well. At the Davos Forum, what's his name? The guy. Okay, I'll have to find him. I have a few notes here. He was at the forum in Davos. Let's see. Okay. The PR firm Edelman's, Richard Edelman, I don't know if you know him, explains that businesses associated with the WEF need to starve social media platforms of revenue if they allow information that contradicts the great narrative that ushers in societal transformation. So I'll show you the few seconds video. It's just crazy. And these guys are saying out loud that, we need more censorship, and we're going to do it with the funding of the platforms, Okay, let's see. I'm looking for his video. Sorry, so many videos here. Okay. I had them. No. All right, I don't think I found them. But
yeah, it's okay. It doesn't matter. We get the idea behind that, and believe it or not, we are already at the top of the hour.
Oh yeah.
And so it was really interesting to have a little peek behind the curtain with you, and we will see the patrons on the other side, and until next time, bye bye.